Hi, welcome to the sixth part of the End of Capitalism and Its Alternatives lecture of the Marxian Economics lecture series. In this part, I want to actually end the end of the capitalism part and start with the alternatives part. We were talking on the word system school and their contribution, and we have talked that there was an evolution of the word system from actually the main evolution actually the system, when we just look to the whether the system is more organized or less organized, basically the organization in terms of the coordination level, in terms of the institutions that are kind of regulating the system, supporting the actors in the system. You have first a decrease in this type of regulations and institutions that are supporting and the system and its actors, and then a slight increase in the US era. So if you are against those regulations, you might see UK era as the golden age of the capitalist system even. However, when you look it another way, you might also see that the world economic system has first integrate the global units by kind of demolishing the institutions that are preventing that integration, the local rules, local institutions, and then it has created national institutions which organized the economic units at a greater level and integrate them to the world economic system based on certain rules, plus create some weak international regulations through UN and its institutions. And at the end of US era, this national institutions and regulations also get weaker. So the question is whether we are returning to the UK system, a new version of UK system, or whether, well, since the world system as we know it today first creates a global integration and then global regulation, global cooperation. And note that what we are experiencing is just the decline of the existing capitalist system. We didn't have even a kind of full restoration of the old system. So once we have this full restoration, or some people think that US system might be restored again, or alternatively we might have a global capitalist system with a new hegemony with different rules. We will have that's the question. Will we have a capitalist system with even greater cooperation, maybe at greater level, at regional level, like whole Latin America, or even a greater global cooperation with some global institutions that are and global regulations that are supporting the actors and regulating the actors of the system, and even maybe a different type of economic organization. Instead of pro-profit, let's say, companies, some sectors might be organized by communities locally, by nations nationally, by regions like Latin Americans in general, or by the whole humanity in some cases. And maybe at global level there could be some coordinations, although actual rules of the production might be set by relatively more national or local level. I don't know. And maybe existing capitalist system might be also regulated. Workers might also take part in decision-making process of the companies. This is also already something that is called upon by them in the United States by certain left groups, which are very powerful in this presidential election, actually. And even minimum income is, for example, an interesting idea on the, setting a minimum life standards globally and nationally. So, what might expect us, considering the overall evolution of the world economic system, is a question. And well, there are different ideas. You might even say that we have found the ideal system in the UK era and overshoot and come back, but we might also say we go to a different system, which might be a hybrid system between maybe social system and capitalist system, even if we cannot go to the full social system because global workforce might not be organized enough. And some people are actually mentioning certain anomalies of the current system, and those anomalies are used to show why the world system's evolution cannot continue as it was, and we cannot have a new world economic system. We might have a new system, which might not be a global empire based on administrative structure, rather a world governance, which is basically based on the organization of whole world population. So one of those anomalies is the hegemony throughout the history. They got larger and larger. First you had Genoese, which was a city. Then you had Dutch, which was it's sometimes called proto-state, a small proto-nation, a small state which might have certain characteristics of a nation, but not a fully a nation, basically, according to this view. And then England, a full nation, and then US, which is an extra nation, which is a nation plus it has some characteristics that doesn't exist in a nation. So it is kind of more than a nation, not only a nation, and a semi-continental. I mean, basically, it contains 1/3 of a continent. So what will be the next? We will have whole Latin America, maybe. I mean, that is regulating the system. Although when we think about China, China is in land-wise small, but it contains a lot of the world population. I believe more than 1/7, maybe 1/5 of the world population, basically. So what is next? That might be the question. Will we have a hegemony, or will we need something that is going beyond all individual nations to control the whole system, an organization which will create world governance? Or we will have a regional, small, but still a massive version of it, like again, as I said, whole Latin America organized in an organization that is governing the Latin America together, or I don't know, maybe Europe or Middle East, or maybe combination of these groups, basically. So this is one thing. The other thing is, interestingly, as I said previously, the old world hegemony was organizing the financing the investments in the new potential commerce. But now, at least world capital, financial capital, is mostly flowing to the United States. So the United States is not lending money to the new potential hegemonies, but it is actually getting money from the whole world, basically. So they don't become world creditor, sending credits and getting interest in return. It becomes world debtor. So still the financial capital sees the United States as the main center to lend money, and basically US is where everyone is investing in every sense, basically. I mean, United States investors also invest in US bonds, for example. Well, people are making real investments in China, but financially, those investments are not, China is not getting debt to finance those investments from global capital, basically. Or the companies that are investing in China are not getting debt. So that's another interesting characteristics, actually. I mean, the world leader, the country that is leading financial actor, is also the country that has highest level of debt. And that didn't happen in case of UK right before it has collapsed in late 19th century, for example, or for Dutch in late 18th century, for example. So all of these things might show, and the other thing is actually always the inclusion of new workforce which was traditionally not within the capitalist system, had refreshed the system. And there were always these large environmental resources that were not used. But now both available workforce and available environmental sources are also not that much available. So the question has become one of the major characteristics of the world capitalist system, which is necessity of growth. Can it continue? If it cannot continue, will capitalism overcome this fragility? Can we have a zero growth capitalism? So these are the questions. And among all those questions, the idea of new version of capitalism, zero growth capitalism, which is something we have discussed actually, one of the discussions was on this, is one question. So can capitalism get into a new system, a greener system, even a system that can solve environmental problems and even inequality, under the new leadership of the United States, or maybe new leadership of the China or another country we haven't seen, I don't know, maybe Brazil, or we will have a totally new economic system in that this desperate problems and this unsolvable characteristics will make world population and countries reorganize themselves and create maybe at first proto-socialist system. And maybe, I mean, proto-socialist system might also mean that, but maybe we might also have a hybrid system. Certain segments of the capitalist system might be protected out. We might have a significantly transformed system, which might not be called as the in full sense capitalist system anymore, but a hybrid system where a significant portion of the production is made not for profit, but for the benefit of society by organization of the whole society at different levels. So these are questions, and I'm leaving these questions because the possibilities are there. All possibilities are there. Personally, I think there will be a hybrid system, but although in 10-20 years, but as I said, the possibilities are there, and to some extent, nothing is certain. The population of the world, the people of the world will decide also on the outcome. But now let's move to the other side of this discussion. What was the vision of Marxian economics? Even Marxism as an ideology, but also Marxian economics. What were Marxian economists were thinking will come after capitalist system, and how they describe this potential new system. So this is the next part, and the predictions. We will start with predictions of Marx, and then we will go to the Soviet experience, which is considered as one of the realized visions of Marx, and we will discuss to what extent it is that way, and how we can describe social system, and also its failure and its directions, different directions that were possible, and the direction it took, basically, and in that its failure. And then we see the critique of stick this to the socialist economic system in general. And lastly, we will move to the different alternatives, which are market socialism and participatory planning, basically. And then we will have a discussion. I will also make the announcement of that discussion. So these are what we will do in the coming parts. We will start with nature of the new system and the dictatorship of proletariat concept and socialism and communism concepts of Marx, which are surprisingly, Marx did not write much on it. We should really scramble to find them from his writings, what he actually sees in those systems. So see you in the next part, where we will start the discussion.